been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks. So
Yes. Well, I
uh,
appreciate you having me.
yeah, awesome. We just try to get this thing rolling and trying to get our weekly thing, trying to make it pretty regular. So it's going to work out. I know we had a later time planned, and then I found out that the Texans game was a late game, not early game, and I was like, oh no, like yeah, gonna have to make that early. So
No worries.
all right, well let's talk some Highland Games.
All right. What do you want to know?
Why are you so good at Sheaf, Ted?
I think, I think with all of us, I remember the first time I threw with Jack Coleman when he started in the games, and we went through the day, and you get somebody and you see they've got athletic ability, they've got strength, and you're wondering what their background was. And for him, we did stones last, and the second he threw that first Braemar, I just thought to myself, okay, he's a shot putter. And so I think the way our leverages are, our background in sports, Sheaf just seems to work for me. I'm not a strong guy. I don't have really long levers, but just in my mind, I visualize where that power and that explosiveness comes from, and I think it just fits where my strengths are.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of the same way. I went.
I lost you.
Oh, all right. Come on. What's going on here?
I can hear you now, but
Oh
you're
no, the video. Oh no. All right. Can you still hear me?
um I- I can hear you. Your
Oh,
screen.
okay. All right. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm in chemo right now, so the Wi-Fi isn't great out here. But yeah, it's like as soon as I figured out that Sheep was going to be my event, I took everything I could to make that my event. So it's awesome. Come on, what are you doing here? All right. All right, so let's talk Masters World Championship. How far away are we? 20 days out?
Yep, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, now it's getting down to the little details and figuring out all the things that you forgot to plan, or any little detail that could go wrong. So
Right. Yeah, we started planning this months and months ago, trying to get everything ready and try to get sponsors to help pay us, and try to get everything we could to go, because this was like the biggest thing I've done in the Highland Games in almost 10 years competing. So it was like, okay, really got to buckle down and do everything, and it's a lot of stuff that we have to do to get there. So it's
yes,
exciting.
yeah, it's. I mean, it's been overwhelming at times, and certainly when I took it over, I it's honestly harder than I thought it would be. And really the stuff that's difficult is the stuff that I didn't anticipate even having to be a part of it. But for me, I love this sport. I first competed in 1994. My brother got me into it, and growing up, him and I weren't close. We were far apart in age, so I think I was more of that little brother annoyance than anything. And this sport made us best friends. And then fast forward into this, the Masters, the second part of my career, and this sport brought me my wife. So to me, when the opportunity came up to take this over, I just felt like it was my time to give back to a sport that's given a lot to me, and kind of get in, since with my back and my surgeries, I'm really in the last chapter of my throwing career. So I saw this as something I could continue on with the sport whenever I'm not able to throw, and give back to it. So certainly it's still worth it, but definitely harder than I thought it would be.
Is this your first year taking over Masters World
Yes.
Championship? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my first year competing. I got it when I was 40. I'm actually going to be turning 41 actually on the 3rd. So 2 days before Masters, I'll be turning 41. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cool. Like that kind of worked out. So I kind of feel like this is probably close to my last year for major competition. Just beat up, just I'm just beat to hell. That's all it is. So
Yes.
I figured HTH would be our way to kind of contribute to the sport that, has helped a lot of us, out. And, I love the sport. I'm not going to stop being around it, and figure this would be a way for us to, extend and make, the sport better than, where it is now.
Yeah.
Even though it's great right now, like I said, I was talking yesterday on the podcast, and we have more media out right now than just ever before. And now it seems like we're really starting to buckle down and get this sport back to where it should be. So
Yes. No, just I still consider my time in it a short time from 1994 till now, and even just seeing the growth. I mean, in the masters class alone is incredible, and then the lightweights on both the female and male side. And then we're still continuing to add classes. Last year in Germany there was an 80 plus year old competitor. We've got Fitz throwing 80 plus this year in Florida. So it's just amazing to see the longevity and the growth on the master side. This was the most applicants we've ever received since 2004, with 283, and it's the first time ever we've had over 200 athletes invited to a world championship. So it's a pretty special year, and I think it just shows the growth on the master side.
yeah, that's really awesome to see. Like, I remember San Antonio I threw a few years ago, and they said, "Oh yeah, B class you're going to throw on Sundays because Masters seems to be the class." And I was like, "Really? Like, how did that happen?" So it was Masters men and Master women were the highlight, and everybody wanted to see them. It's like that's pretty awesome.
No, and really just in Texas alone, I moved here in 2015, and in 2016 there was typically just a master's class or a master's 40 to 49 and a master's 50 plus. That first couple of years I was here, there wasn't even a women's masters.
Oh
And
wow,
now you show up to Grapevine. I think between they had a master's lightweight 40, 50, 60 plus, women's 40, women's 50. So
wow,
go from in 2016 me being here and there being one maybe two master's classes to that last games at McKinney and Grapevine having six
yeah.
is pretty incredible. And it wasn't just six classes. I mean, there were six full classes that everyone that signed up couldn't get in. So it's very very exciting to see the growth, and I think a lot of that is the A and B athletes throwing from the 90s and 2000s, just continuing to grow or throw into their 40s and 50s.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really important. I always call like I throw with a lot of the Masters women because they're in my area. Um, that's the class. Like when we go to Texas games, they're like the loudest ones. They got the
Yeah.
party going on. It's like that's the party. That's the party league. Oh, well, that's awesome. How many out of country athletes do we have coming for Masters World Championship? You have a number for
So
that?
yeah, so we have 212 invited. We have 83 from other countries. Second largest country is Canada, and then Germany is really within, I think, just three or four less.
Oh wow,
But 11 countries total represented out of the 212.
wow.
So
What
very
do you do
very
for
exciting.
what do you do for translation? Any people that don't speak English that might be showing up that you might have to work with?
So far, no. I'm a little embarrassed as an American how little effort we put into learning other languages and how much effort they put in. So certainly a lot of respect to them.
Yeah.
But we'll be making an announcement this week on some additional board members that will assist us with growing on the European and just other countries in general, to assist us with that, and if translations needed. But so far, I mean, we've got athletes from Japan and Australia and New Zealand and Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, uh, Norway, Ireland, Scotland, and so far everyone's able to communicate and speak English with us, and certainly a testament to them. Unfortunately, not to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we have two Switzerland athletes in my division that are going to be throwing, and I was like, oh, that's like kind of cool. That's like
Yeah,
something new I get to do. So
yeah.
kind of cool.
Nope, and they're good. So
Yeah, yeah.
they
Who's the class to watch?
The 40. Something I'm very humbled and proud of is how many former and current pros we have throwing masters now. The 40 to 44 and 45 to 49 group is just brutal.
Yeah.
I think guys that just assumed they'd be able to get in couldn't, just because of the number of former current pro athletes throwing. And I mean, I think in both of those, the 40 to 44 and 45 to 49, 18 feet on wob could get you in the middle of the pack.
Oh, gee.
There's there's several 20-foot plus wob throwers and 35 plus sheaf throwers, and we'll be pushing a lot of records. This year in the Masters, all three, the 40, 45, and 50 group have the top three could be inches apart from deciding the title. So it's
Wow.
pretty exciting seeing not just the volume with over 200 athletes, but the quality. There's some very high end athletes coming. That's exciting. And then I've already had some reach out that are turning 40 next year, saying, do I need to do anything? Can I throw pro and still come? And so just very exciting. I mean, to me, it's the world championship. There's games my wife and I go to for fun, for the road trip, for the fellowship. But this game, the intent of this is to find out who the best in the world is, and I want the best throwers there, unless injured. And so to see that starting to come out and see the best want to come to see where they stand, is exciting, and I'm very very appreciative.
Yeah. How do y'all determine on where y'all going to do it in the world each year? How do y'all have a process to that?
Yeah, so it kind of comes in waves with folks reaching out. Some will reach out um, wanting to host, and now that we're growing so much, I mean, if we've got somebody, including the 80 plus classes for men and women, we could have 21 classes.
Oh,
And
wow.
so when you look at all the games you attend overseas or here, just field size alone to accommodate 21 classes and 200 athletes, that limits the number of options for one. And then time of year, I try to keep it later in the year. It's unfair to the Canadians and Scotland and the northern European countries. You go and host the games in May or June, and they're just coming out of their season's just starting. And
Right.
I want to make sure everyone's able to peak for Worlds. So my preference is in August or later games. Um, but just reaching out to us, any of the board members, Courtney or myself, and interested. We've got a contract that's standard. We don't change it. For me going forward, everyone will get the same contract, and then we just discuss logistics and answer questions, and waiting. Hopefully this week we'll be announcing where next year will be. I'm just waiting on a signed contract from their city personnel, and then we've got a couple already in talks for the next couple years. But anyone wanting to host right now, anyone wanting to host 2026 or later, just reaching out and talking and asking questions and finding out what they can do. I mean, Jacksonville, what's impressive with what they've done, Dawn down there. This isn't their normal Jacksonville games. They started without a festival.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so she started everything from scratch, raising money, getting clans and vendors there. So most of the time, a games will host Worlds, and it will just take the place of their current games. But in this case, their normal games is 100 plus athletes anyway. They added space onto the field from the fairgrounds that they don't normally ask for, just to accommodate the extra athletes. But she's built everything from scratch, so it just shows that festival or not, there's lots of options. And Courtney and I, now have been able to talk to a lot of folks on with different scenarios and um, different limitations, and so just reaching out and talking to us and just finding out if it's possible, and then just going from there.
Oh, that's awesome. What if you choose a location and then you end up not having athletes that want to travel there? What do you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, and that's something too. Is we want to. I For me personally, I want to make sure everybody can afford to come.
Right.
Can schedule wise, the West Coast is difficult. I mean, that's a lot of travel for European countries.
Right.
But then Eastern Europe is a lot of travel for the West Coast countries or
Right.
states. And so, trying to find something that's central, and we want to be close to an international airport. I don't want, whether we're overseas or here, I don't want a planes, trains, and automobiles scenario to where it's a hassle for folks to get to a location. So a host like DFW here in Texas that has the international airport. We've got the Southwest hub in Love Field. Other locations like in Switzerland. Most people flew into Zurich, but with Europe, we flew into Germany and drove down other options. But just trying to make sure that it's a location that's one, affordable, and two, easy access to an international airport, and then hopefully not, I ideally would love to give the option of not having to rent a car uh,
Right.
between shuttles and Uber and the closeness of the hotels to the field. Would love to set it up to make it as affordable as possible, so that we're not losing quality throwers due to logistics or finances.
Right. So does that mean that Masters World Championship will be in Texas eventually?
Well, I mean, we just had it in Austin, so
Yeah.
but I'm not. Courtney and I have talked about a circuit, finding a European country, a Canadian location, a U.S. location, and just rotating. That way, everybody knows. In the past, Kevin had always tried to go 2 years in the U.S., 2 years in other countries. I want to make sure that we tried to adhere to something similar to that. I mean, we just finished in Switzerland, and we have Jacksonville this year, and I'm in talks with one country over in Europe for 26. So would love to keep rotating it, so that I certainly don't want somebody from Europe or somebody from the U.S. having to pay to travel overseas 3-4 years in a row.
Right.
But I also think a lot of the ADs I talked to that's hosted Worlds, if they did it again, they could do it cheaper and more efficiently and less stressful, because they have a lot of lessons learned. So the potential of having either um, a Europe hosting at some location every third year, Canada hosting at some location, the U.S. hosting at some location every third year, but some type of rotation like that might better suit us for growth, just because, again, the first thing, I've had a couple ADs reach out, and then as soon as I let them know 200 plus athletes and potentially 21 classes, they're like, okay, uh, this, this field won't work. Because the other piece too, you talk about money. If we're going to be throwing, we want to try to finish at a time on a Sunday, so that folks can get a late flight out or a red eye, to save an additional, hotel stay and
Right.
accommodations and rental cars. So want to make sure that it's not 2 long days, and it's a fun long weekend, but is only a weekend trip. But I think lots of options, and being new. Courtney and I have had a lot of good talks and got a list of ideas, and we're really just trying to feel out all of the locations and ADs, reaching out to former ADs and getting feedback. We've got a private group of athletes from different states and countries, and a group of ADs from both over in Europe and here in the U.S. and Canada that we're bouncing ideas off of, and trying to see what direction we go into.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, we're getting down to our time. You got any wise words for the Highland Games community out there?
I guess two things. One, with Worlds, keep in mind, in today's society, everybody's split, whether it's politics or whatever it is, and like I said, we had 283 people apply, and a lot of the decisions I've made since taking over Worlds, I don't agree with. I truly try to run this for the athletes. I'm trying to make this a world championship to find out who the best athlete is, and I want everyone to be able to enjoy the experience and want to come. And that's why we've got the group of ADs, the group of athletes. I've got Courtney And we're adding a few other directors I'll be announcing this week. And but keep in mind that whatever our decision, it's coming from a majority of folks, and no matter what decision we make, approximately 50% of the folks are going to disagree with it. You know, always I hope everyone brings the complaints to me and brings the positives and suggestions to Courtney and the others. Just let one of us handle the brunt of it. But whether it's deciding what size implement to throw in a class, or how the invites go, whatever it is, I've learned that's probably the first and biggest lessons I've learned is I'm not going to be able to make everyone happy. And it's tough for me because I am a people pleaser, and I did this to make all the athletes happy. But it's amazed me, the difficulty it is to please everybody, and I've got to figure out a way to be okay with not doing that. But just bring us your frustrations, bring us suggestions. I'm like I said, I'm running this for the athletes, so I want to hear from them, and we're just trying to not just grow the sport, but make it a quality experience. We've put a lot of money into the awards this year. I'll be showing those Friday night at the banquet. We're going to have the same award every year, so
Okay.
it becomes recognizable, like a Super Bowl trophy, like the World Series trophy. So when people see it, they know where it came from. And I'm very excited with how those turned out. And I will just say now they're a plate, and I did that so that it can easily be transported whenever you're traveling. So it's not going to get broken going through
Okay.
bag check and stuff at the airport. And but it's a very high quality, heavy plate with a lot of detail on it, and very very excited about that. But other than that, I think just I mean the beauty of this sport is the differences. Sometimes you get a lot of folks in that want to try to turn us into track and field. Track and field, shot, discus, hammer came from the Highland Games.
Right.
We we're the godfather of it. But the beauty is, I just went up and threw in Tulsa yesterday, and we threw uphill on every event, and
Oh,
we threw a different handle. But what I love about the sport is, like, if the other 12 folks in my class, we all threw the same implement on the same field in the same conditions. The tape measure doesn't lie.
right.
And I think whenever you go to the games, making sure that you're grateful that there's ads and volunteers that are out there allowing you to spend the day in the sun having fun with your friends, and enjoy the road trip up there, visiting with your loved one or friends, and going out for a drink or dinner before or after the games, and then you know appreciate the AD. And well, I could give a negative about every game I went to since 1994, but without the ADs and those volunteers, I don't have anywhere to go. And
Right.
so I think we all have a part we can play to make the sport better, whether it's just feedback or whether it's volunteering. If we don't want to throw suggestions, whatever it is, there's ebbs and flows in the games and changes with how games are ran. But no, I just think that I love what this sport's done for me and my family, and I hope everyone that competes in it and enjoys the same things that I do.
Awesome. Well, great for have you on the show. We're looking forward to Masters World Championship. Everybody's talking about it. It's going to be a pretty big deal, and I guess we'll see you in a few weeks.
All right, thank you, appreciate
All
it.
right, Ted. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Well, there you have it. Tedd Van Vleck, killing it. Everybody's getting ready for Masters World Championship. I appreciate everybody who's coming on to chat and talk, especially Jason, my man, Jason. I'll be seeing you. Actually thrown in my division. Um, if y'all haven't caught the podcast from yesterday, just click over the next video. It's right over there. All right. And you can check that out. It's a pretty good day, about an hour and a half. It's pretty nice. We'll be uploading it to Spotify probably this week sometime. So if you want to listen to it like that, you'll have to wait a little bit longer. Also, we are confirmed we will be in Austin, Texas for the Austin Highland Games. That will be our premiere for HTH Broadcasting live broadcast at the games. It's going to be awesome. We're really looking forward to this. So next week we have Kyle Lilly, Emily Adams. Both will be on here. It's going to be pretty cool. And You get to see some new stuff. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you later.